The holidays have arrived at the Home Depot, and we're here to help bring the excitement with decor for every part of your home. Check out our wide assortment of easy-to-assemble pre-lit trees so you can spend less time setting up and more time celebrating. And bring your holiday spirit outdoors with unique decor like one of our Santa inflatables. Whatever your style, find the right pieces at the right prices this holiday season at the Home Depot.
At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high-quality walking shoes, which might lead to another discovery.
40,000 steps, baby. Who's on top now, Karen?
You've taken the office step challenge a step too far. Don't worry, though. Sierra also has yoga gear. It might be a good place to find your zen. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier has covered video games for a long time. Sometimes that means reviews, but more often it means business. Big business. According to the Entertainment Software Association, the U.S. video game market is valued at nearly $60 billion. That's more than the American film, music, and book publishing industries combined. So when there's a big sale, it's a big deal. And when that big sale involves Electronic Arts, aka EA, it's huge. What was your first reaction when you saw that Electronic Arts was being sold?
My first reaction was, oh my God, this is bad news. EA has about 14,500 employees, and I think after the closing of this deal, that number will go down significantly. So that was my first reaction, was like, oh God, this could mean bad things.
Last week, the company behind games like Madden and The Sims was bought by a group of private investors to the tune of $55 billion. But the surprising part is just who those investors are.
The biggest player here is Saudi Arabia's Sovereign Wealth Fund, the PIF. Saudi Arabia has a ton of investments in the video game industry, and they've also made big plays in the esports field, in the competitive gaming world.
There's also a private equity firm and Jared Kushner. Yes, that Jared Kushner.
It's not super shocking. Gaming has been a pretty good investment over the last few years, so it's never really shocking to see money people trying to get involved.
Given all of the people that are involved in this deal, is it fair to say that there are some rather big implications here, both economically and politically, but as well as culturally?
I think it's too early to say. I've seen a lot of people kind of speculating, Jared Kushner, obviously Trump's son-in-law, is he going to get involved with the games in some way, pushing kind of pro-Trump messaging or whatever it is? Again, I don't know. I suspect that his involvement here is more because he has a lot of strong ties to Saudi Arabia, and his involvement can help them get through any sort of regulatory hoops that they need to get through. But again, I don't know. It's all speculative at this point. I think with these mega deals, it always takes a little while before we know what's what. Even in the bigger media space, I mean, the AT&T Time Warner deal, it took a little while before we realized that, as the New York Times put it might have been one of the worst mergers in history. The history of leveraged buyouts of big companies is spotty, to say the least.
Today on the show, how one of the world's biggest gaming studios came to be owned by Saudi Arabia and Jared Kushner, and what it signals about the video gaming industry writ large. I'm Shayna Roth, filling in for Lizzie O'Leary. You're listening to What Next TBD, a show about technology, power, and how the future will be determined. Stick around.
This episode is brought to you by Saks Fifth Avenue. Saks Fifth Avenue makes it easy to get creative with your personal style and find the best arrivals for fall. Whether you're trying out the latest fashion trends or curating a closet that stands the test of time, Saks has you covered. Saks makes shopping feel personal. Their trusted in-store stylists are there to guide and inspire you, helping you find pieces that fit every aspect of your lifestyle. Prefer online shopping? Saks.com offers a curated selection tailored to your taste. From new arrivals by your favorite designers like Prada jackets and Gucci loafers to stylish pieces for your everyday needs. Whether it's date night, a vacation, a special occasion, or just lounging in style, Saks helps you find the perfect look for every occasion. If you want shopping to be fun and easy, then head to Saks Fifth Avenue for inspiring ways to elevate your personal style every day.
Have you ever wondered about the digital infrastructure that powers today's biggest tech trends? Interconnected, a new video and podcast series from Equinix, offers a rare look at the technology driving the innovations of tomorrow, from the edge compute and cloud systems to ultra-reliable networks and everything in between. Through candid conversations with industry experts and visionary thinkers, Interconnected's hosts guide you through emerging megatrends in tech, the infrastructure making them possible, and the connected future they're shaping. They dive deep into the systems behind AI, automation, quantum, and beyond. The first episode of Interconnected covers the AI renaissance in the medical field. Join the discussion on how society would not be on the verge of an AI-assisted medical renaissance without the near instantaneous network of interconnected data systems. Discover the digital infrastructure powering today's biggest tech trends with Interconnected. Follow Interconnected on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Jason, for listeners who are not familiar, who or what is Electronic Arts?
Electronic Arts is one of the biggest video game companies on the planet. They have been around since 1982, so also one of the original video game companies before there was even much of a video game industry in the first place. They are responsible for a bunch of games that people have probably heard of, including Madden and EA Sports FC, which is their soccer game, used to be called FIFA, Battlefield, and Apex Legends, and a bunch of other games. The Sims is another one of their mega franchises.
One of the few that I have actually played.
Yes, that is one that has reached a lot of people who aren't like traditional gamers.
Do gamers like them? I mean, like, what is their reputation in the gaming industry aside from being massive?
It's hard to say, right? Like, gamer can mean a lot of things. If you read Reddit and like look at what the loud, outspoken like video game enthusiasts are saying, they all hate EA for various reasons, mainly because EA, as a publicly traded company, has operated in a way that tries to maximize its financials every year. And in fact, there was a poll on this website called Consumerist back in the day, 2012 or 2013 or both years, and it was kind of like a worst company in America poll. And EA won number one, first place over stalwarts like Bank of America and BP Oil and people. So the gamers who were voting, they were mad at EA and they wanted to show their distaste. That said, I mean, I think there are a lot of people out there who maybe are more quote unquote casual gamers are more likely to buy new games once or twice a year, and maybe they buy Madden every year, and so they think of EA neutrally to positively. So I'm a little hesitant to be like gamers hate EA because gamer means a lot of things.
The problems facing the video game industry are similar to what's been going on in the film industry. The economics are changing. Analysts have pointed out that sales for new video game consoles have slowed, and sales of physical copies of games have as well. Meanwhile, a product has taken the market by storm. Even though they've been around for a while, live service games have become increasingly popular. You might know some of the big ones. Fortnite, Apex Legends. They're often free to play, but have tons of extra content that players can buy after the fact. And they're very lucrative.
EA's revenue for the last fiscal year 2025, which ended in March of this year, they earned about $7.5 billion in revenue, a shade less. Only about $2 billion of that is operating income, a little less than that. So they're spending a lot to make a lot. And the stat that I actually think is the most interesting and kind of the most telling about where EA is and where the video game industry is that around 75% of EA's revenue came from what's called live service, as opposed to selling new products. And live service in kind of industry jargon terms essentially means the money that people are spending inside a game that isn't buying the game. So like if you are playing the FIFA games, they sell like players as part of this whole big mode called Ultimate Team. You can buy these cards of players by spending money in addition to what you've already spent to buy the game. And so if you are buying that, you are spending money in the live service segment. Or if you are playing Apex Legends and you are buying a new costume for your character, that is part of the live services revenue. Companies can see that as more predictable spending than the hit-driven video game business where you make a new game and you don't know what it's going to do. You don't know how it's going to perform. I think with the kind of the recurring spending of these live service models where you have players who are just spending money on FIFA Ultimate Team packs every single year, that's a little bit more predictable for them.
I think it's important to point out that the video game industry is an almost $200 billion industry, and yet executives within the industry are concerned about sluggish growth. Is there something changing about what consumers are willing to pay for?
Sluggish growth, it is a real thing. I don't think that that's a delusion by executives or anything like that. And I think there's a lot of sentiment out there from industry watchers, from analysts, that the video game business has become a mature market as opposed to a growth market. We've seen growth slow down from its kind of rapid rates of the 2010s. That is largely because there haven't been these new venues of growth. Mobile was the big one throughout the 2010s, and there hasn't been a lot of the kind of the ventures in like VR and the metaverse have all just failed to pan out. Some of these bigger companies like EA haven't had as much success in mobile as they have in the console and PC space. And yeah, there is kind of a feeling that growth, especially among the consoles, the PlayStation, the Xbox, growth is really flattened. We're not seeing a ton of like big rises from like the PlayStation 4 era to the PlayStation 5 era. It's kind of like along, if you look at like the PS4 versus the PS5, the PS5 is kind of following a very similar parallel trajectory to the PS4, as opposed to seeing bigger leaps. I think a large part of that actually is because of the kids, the youth, and what their gaming habits are. A lot of them are sticking with Roblox and Minecraft and like GTA Online and some of these other never-ending, what some people call black hole games, because you can play them forever.
After the break, why the sale is happening now, and why Jared Kushner is buying it.
A healthy lifestyle starts with good sleep, so your body and mind can recharge. If you're struggling with restless nights and looking for a natural way to wind down without relying on over-the-counter sleep aids, try melatonin-free cornbread hemp CBD sleep gummies. Melatonin is a hormone that can cause grogginess, nightmares, or sleepwalking in some people. So Cornbread Hemp left it out to produce America's first USDA organic, melatonin-free CBD gummy. Fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer with CBD sleep gummies that are infused with full-spectrum, flower-only hemp extract and include natural botanicals like valerian root, lavender, and chamomile. They're vegan, gluten-free, and made without a sugar coating. Just clean, natural ingredients. Rest deeply and wake up ready to move with melatonin-free Cornbread Hemp CBD sleep gummies. Right now, Cornbread Hemp is offering 30% off your first order. Just go to cornbreadhemp.com/TBD and use code TBD at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/TBD. Code TBD for 30% off.
Do you struggle with procrastinating? You know, when you put off doing something that could save you a ton? Well, Mint Mobile's best deal of the year is ending soon. 50% off unlimited premium wireless for new customers. That's a good reason to stop being a procrastinator. Even Slate's president Charlie Campbell is using Mint Mobile, and he says more people should be trying this out. was really easy to switch providers. The SIM card was shipped to his home. They let him use his existing phone. He didn't have to change his phone number. He is on the $15 a month deal and is getting unlimited talk and text over their 5G network at literally a fraction of what he was paying with someone else. Stop overspending with Big Wireless and cut your wireless bill to $15 per month when you switch to Mint Mobile. All Mint Mobile plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network. But hurry, because this deal ends September 22nd. Quit stalling and start saving when you make the switch. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/whatnext. That's mintmobile.com/whatnext. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today? Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices, and that's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies, so you can save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states and situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
So why is EA then looking to sell now? I know that there's some issues within the industry, but it's still a fairly reliable industry.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are a few potential reasons for that. One is that fear that this is a mature market rather than a growth market. This deal is giving them, I believe it is a 25% premium on what the stock price was before all the rumors started. It was something like a $42 billion valuation or market cap EA had, and this is a $55 billion valuation. So a pretty significant premium on the stock. So a pretty good deal for EA shareholders. I think they might see that as a peak valuation. EA also has been trying to sell or buy or have a merger for a very long time now. They've been talking to NBC. They almost had a deal with them to do some sort of merger or M&A sort of thing. And so they've been looking to get out for quite a few years now. Another kind of pessimistic, bleak view that I've heard from a couple of analysts is, we're at the tail end of like this frothy period of investments, and like who knows what the future looks like between our current political climate and the economy, and people worrying about like these big AI stocks that are just kind of carrying the rest of the market. If that bubble bursts, like what's that going to look like? And so this could be very much EA's investors and board and executives trying to get out while they still can. But yeah, I mean, there are always a lot of reasons behind this. At the end of the day, it could just come down to this offer from this consortium of investors was so appealing that they pretty much had to say yes.
So we talked a little bit at the top about all of the different people and players involved in this deal. Let's focus on the Saudis first. Why are they particularly interested in buying EA?
Yeah, so they've had this kind of Vision 2030 initiative in place for a long time. A large part of that is focused on the gaming industry. Some of their princes are gamers. They're interested in the gaming industry. I believe MBS is also a fan of video games. I think he's into soccer games at the very least. Saudi Arabia has for a few years now been looking to divest from oil because oil is seen as just kind of like not something that is going to be a big player in 10, 15 years as a lot of people move towards greener energy sources. And so gaming is seen as a pretty appetizing sector for them. I think a lot of people, even if you see gaming as a mature market, it is still an appealing one because you just have so much money and so many people and so many potential eyeballs out there for the gaming business. And especially, I mean, if you're looking for more predictable revenue streams, even if you don't necessarily get that double-digit growth, like I mentioned before, that live service money can be really appetizing. Like if you're looking at something like Madden or FIFA that has this huge dedicated base of players that not only buy the new games every single year, but also spend money within the games, that can be really appealing if you're looking for for another regular source of revenue, even if it isn't seeing the kind of double-digit growths that a lot of the public markets want to see. So yeah, this could be a more appealing investment for them than it is for Wall Street.
So let's get into one of the other major players here, Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law. Why does he want to have a stake in this?
So, yeah, there could be a few reasons here. Bloomberg just ran a story. My colleagues at Bloomberg just ran a story about how Jared Kushner was the one who made all of the introductions and brokering behind this deal that made this deal possible. He was kind of the central figure in the talks over the last few months and pushed for it to keep going even as momentum was slowing. He's got a lot of connections to Saudi Arabia. He has a lot of business deals with them, which I imagine played a big role. And he also, I believe the Saudi wealth fund, sovereign wealth fund, actually contributed $2 billion to his own company, his own affinity partners. And the other part of this is that, for this to all happen, it needs to get approval by the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, which I imagine, given Kushner's government connections, that will be a boon for getting any sort of regulatory approval that they need.
So another wrinkle here is that they're taking a public company and they want to make it private. What are the implications of this?
Yeah, so they're going to take EA private, which means a few things. One is that it's no longer going to kind of have to follow the rhythms of the stock market. There will no longer be quarterly earnings calls with investors. There will no longer be SEC filings on the same cadence that a publicly traded company needs to. And also, your average person will no longer be able to go and buy EA stock and invest in them in some way or another. The big risk that I've been eyeing and that I think a lot of people are looking at here is not necessarily that it's going private, but the way in which it's going private. So this is a leveraged buyout, or an LBO, which is essentially means that the acquirers are financing the deal through debt and then placing that debt on the company itself. Essentially, they are buying EA with EA, which is this kind of funky financial mechanism that has had a lot of high-profile failures in recent years, such as Toys R Us, which went bankrupt a few years ago as a result of it just straining to pay the interest payments on this massive amounts of debt that it was saddled with as part of that LBO that it went through a couple decades back. So that, I think, is the biggest concern, because suddenly this new EA has $20 billion in debt on the books that it will then have to start repaying, and the interest payments alone on that are going to be I mean, if it's a 5% interest rate, maybe it'll be a little lower. I don't know exactly how the deal is going to be structured, but if it's a 5% interest rate, that's $1 billion a year in debt payments alone. That is almost half of what EA is bringing in profit every single year in the first place. So that's a big concern. These sorts of deals always lead to big layoffs and cost cutting. The debt element of that could lead to even more cost cutting than normal. So I think that is a scary proposition for people who work for EA or people who want to see EA employees stay secure.
It's unclear how the purchase of EA by Kushner and an arm of the Saudi Arabian government will affect the video gaming industry writ large. But one thing that is for sure is that live service is here to stay. Earlier this year, EA laid off more than 300 employees who had been working on, quote, early-stage incubation projects. Suffice to say, live service games are in, and story-driven single-player experiences are falling by the wayside. You talked about the push into live service games. Is this the direction that the video game industry is heading in the future, that you think?
That's been the direction that the video game industry is headed in for years now. And when I say video game industry, I'm specifically talking about the biggest companies. Pretty much every big gaming company has done some sort of push into recurring revenue models. Games that aren't just sold and then players just move on to the next one, but games that are sold and then players stick with them for years to come, spending money on that game in perpetuity. And a lot of those initiatives have ended in disaster. PlayStation Sony's gaming unit has had a lot of live service games that either flopped really badly or were canceled. Other companies also have just tried to get into the live service game and failed spectacularly. There's a huge list of just kind of these live service failures because it's a very tough market to crack, because when you release a new multiplayer live service game, online game, you are not just competing against the new games that are released every year, you're also competing against all the live service games that are already existing. So if you are trying to make the new Fortnite, you are competing against the old Fortnite. EA, for example, had a big live service bet called Anthem in 2019, and that game failed spectacularly. It failed for a lot of reasons, but one of them is that releasing a new online shooter and getting people's attention on it is really difficult when there's so many other online shooters. Another game that came out early last year called Suicide Squad from Warner Brothers was also a huge flop, again, in part because there isn't an appetite to just keep getting new online live service games. A lot of people just kind of have their game and stick with it, and by the nature of these games, they're keeping people forever for months and years to come. So yeah, very difficult business to get into, but every big game company certainly has tried.
Jason, thank you so much for coming on the show and opening my eyes to the fact that I, too, am a gamer.
You are, aren't we all? Thank you so much, Shayna. Thank you for having me.
Jason Schreier is a reporter for Bloomberg. All right, that is it for our show today. What Next TBD is produced by Patrick Fort and Paige Osborne. Our show is edited by Evan Campbell. Mia Lobel is the executive producer at Slate. TBD is part of the larger What Next family. And if you're looking for more great Slate podcasts to listen to, you should definitely check out this week's episode of The Discourse from What Next TBD. This week, we're talking with Slate writer Molly Olmstead about why Trump is talking about medbeds all of a sudden. That's available exclusively to Slate Plus members. So to hear that, plus get a lot more, sign up at slate.com/whatnextplus. We'll be back next week. I'm Shayna Roth, in for Lizzie O'Leary. Thanks for listening.
For a limited time at McDonald's, get a Big Mac Extra Value Meal for $8. That means 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, and medium fries, and a drink. We may need to change that jingle.
Prices and participation may vary.